Hello everyone, Fireball AW here, and welcome back to the Fireball Archives. If you remember from last episode, we did the Drow Elves, but we didn't get too well. We got far into it, but we've only just basically scratched the surface of it. So today will be part 2 of the Drow Elves, and then I doubt we'll finish it. Still finishing today. We'll keep going until we finish this type of archive. And so let's get on with it. So if you remember from last time, we had just completed the magical abilities of magical resistances. Now we are on to lost touch abilities. So basically, lost touch abilities are the result of lost blessings. Basically, her priestesses. I only say priestesses because there are never any male Drow priests. Male Drow can have arcane magic, but they are never given divine magic by Loth. Only females have that blessing. Obviously, following Loth and everyone thinking about everyone, the most distinctive feature of the Drow are being blessed by Loth, as what they're mostly known for. They can manifest abilities such as Cloud of Darkness, which enshrouded the Drow in darkness that was impossible for anyone but the caster to see through. So basically, like a darkness spell, I guess. And Darkfire, which made creatures an easier target, which encases them in harmless purple flames. These uses of such abilities were tiring for the Drow, as I think they could only use them once per day. But they were innate spell casting abilities. But they seem to be powered by the same source, and only more experienced, well-trained Drow could cast both abilities separately. However, through training, Drow can manifest the so-called Webs of Darkness that both slowed and impeded a foe, while also limiting their vision. Those who became Curseborn could unlock even more power, including improvements of the aforementioned Cloud of Darkness and Darkfire. Other ways to improve these abilities include training to cast the Cloud of Darkness faster in response to harm, or to turn the Darkfire into a flickering protective shroud that made the beneficiary harder to hit. More mundane methods. Sorry. I'm drinking juice to try and keep my voice going. It's a bit sore now. Before I started recording, it was quite sore, so I'm just trying to drink some juice just to try and keep my voice going. Basically, the more mundane methods of these spells include slipping into the cover of darkness, or just slowing to hit the target of Darkfire, not just more accurately, but also harder, like the Drow Wanderers did. Lost Touch gave her a hold over the entire Drow race, and overcoming it was only possible by becoming a redeemed Drow who also managed to be judged worthy by Corellan Lorethian, who is the patron deity of the Surface Elves, and the leader of the Seldarine, not the Dark Seldarine, the Seldarine. Loth is the leader of the Dark Seldarine. So, Drow base powers. Base powers are abilities that Drow could cast without any schooling, but simple practice. They vary slightly from person to person due to different reasons: genetics, personal talent, divine favor, etc. Drow magical abilities were somehow tied to the Phasris. The radiation of the Underdark and its intensity in the birthplace of a Drow could influence their base powers. The abilities could temporarily vary in the same person depending on the personal, mental, and physical health situation, aging effects, degree of training, and so on. A dying Drow could double the effectiveness of the own innate powers by supercharging them with his or her own life force. Drow could only use their base powers once every day, and once employed, they can end the spell, move it around at their whim, or downsize it. Spells like the Dispel Magic spell could end a base powers effect. Normally, a Drow could not continue using his abilities when they started to use another one, or started to cast a spell. Strong light or sunlight hampered the Drow's concentration, rendering them unable to use their innate abilities, with few exceptions, namely the nobles. Dancing lights. Drow could naturally cast the Dancing Lights spell. The Drow's innate Dancing Lights could create a larger number of light motes than the normal spell and provide better control as the power of the caster increased. For example, the light spheres could move to be further away from each other than normal. Apart from its obvious use as a light source, it was used to divert attention or create a surprise factor with the sudden appearance of a glowing figure or will-o-wisp like light balls. Teaming up with the actual will-o-wisp to make this more effective was a known technique. However, this was viewed as corrupted behavior. Darkness. Drow had the ability to cast natural darkness, creating an area that was impervious to normal sight and infravision. Unlike the normal spell, the Drow's innate darkness could also create a globe that could be moved around and grew in radius with the strength of the caster. Apart from its obvious use to cancel light sources, this ability was an integral part of the Drow combat due to its use to limit sight or otherwise hamper enemies. Basically, Drow assassins, well, if a Drow assassin was obviously all Drow have this ability, but imagine a Drow assassin using this darkness spell when they're about to assassinate a target. That'll be almost, great. Darkness looks like black stone when looked at with dark vision, allowing creative uses of the spell. For example, a Drow could hide behind the black stone and ambush enemies from their cover, or use the black stone, or the black stone could be turned out to be a covered up pitfall. An entire school of Drow martial arts concerned itself with the use of the darkness. The Cayone Veldrin style. Drow could further enhance their darkness to cast it more often, but they could also learn to deepen it so that a daylight spell could not cancel anymore. Fairy Fire. Drow had the ability to naturally cast Fairy Fire. Unlike the normal spell, the Drow's innate Fairy Fire could create a glowing field around the cast that grew wider with the strength of the caster. Fairy Fire could come in blue, green, or violet colour. A Drow could change these colours, but always manifested one certain colour when they were casting the spell without choosing one. So also, it was used to force enemies to pay attention to an area or as a diversion. The possibility to change the colour of the light provided by the spell was usually as a handy system of colour signals to convey information over long distances. As mentioned above, but base powers were affected by Feyres. According to Selzar Elfref, a Drow's Fairy Fire worked by channeling Feyres, which is basically, as it mentioned before, the Feyres is apparently some radiation that radiates in the Underdark. Now, mature powers. Upon reaching a sufficient degree of expertise, the Drow gain their so-called mature powers, the ability to innately cast the Detect Magic, Know Alignment, and Levitate spells. Particularly intelligent and powerful Drow can maintain two inborn abilities, or one inborn ability and one normal spell simultaneously. For example, they could levitate while casting darkness. Casting mature powers is impossible in the presence of intense light, like for base powers. Priestly powers. Most members of the clergy of a Drow deity gain powers through divine favour. These abilities always included the clairvoyance, detect light, dispel magic, and suggestion spells. Based on divine favour, a cleric could gain additional powers like the ability to cast Detect Undead, ESP, which is albite only against other Drow within 20 feet, 6.1 meters, and invisibility to undead, but also additionally daily uses of their priestly powers. Noble powers. Some Drow were born with more powers than usual, like the ability to divine a person's mental inclination, detect good spell, to detect magic, and to levitate. Such Drow made up the noble class of their society. These abilities seem to be a dominant trait. Nobles could use their base and mature powers up to once per decade of the lights per day instead of merely once per day. Unlike commoners, nobles could attempt to cast their inborn abilities in the presence of light, but they can only maintain one of their spells at a time in the presence of light, even when they can normally do otherwise. There are learnt abilities. Drow, trained in magic, would often become good clerics and wizards. Not good aligned wizards, but they often became, strong clerics and wizards. For clerics, clerical magic was the domain of Drow women. This clear division was due to a favoritism of Loth towards female Drow. Drow clerics, especially among their elven peers, elven clerics' bodies could only handle a certain amount of magical energy, which limited the growth. The limits of a Drow cleric was determined by the favourite god they served. They could theoretically grow infinitely strong. In practice, however, there was a certain limit at which point the deity either killed or elevated Drow to demigod status. Psionic abilities. Drow own no inherent psionic abilities, but psionic schools, especially for the arts of psions and psychic warriors, existed in some cities. For wizards. Now, out of all the Drow, the wizards were the most dangerous. Every Drow with access to civilization received education in arcane magic, but not every Drow was a wizard, far from it. This training had the purpose of scouting talent for magic in young Drow, and of often teaching all Drow to maintain their innate abilities. Wizards were the most dangerous among their people, and the most likely to be found alone in the Underdark. Unlike elves, the Drow body could handle any amount of arcane magic, allowing Drow wizards to theoretically go infinitely strong in power. Drow who were somewhat confined in the seas had a hard time to become exceedingly strong due to the lack of training opportunities. Drow wizards with a desire for more magic ventured out as adventurers and or hired explorers. Due to the inferior compatibility with arcane magic in Drow women, the art was the province of men. Male wizards in particular were often exiles due to the persecution by the priestesses or other houses. They were under general suspicion of being dissatisfied with Drow society and having a desire to change it. Thus, they were abducted to undergo a test once they reached a certain degree of power. They were often merchants or their employees. Wizards often provided the means of protection and disguise for those who dealt with the denizens of the surface. Among Drow wizards, Azimuth were the most prized familiars, but watch spiders and hunting spiders were held in high regard too. Drow also like to choose fiendish, more precisely, abyssal familiars. Nevertheless, it was common for Drow wizards to have a snake, spitting crawler, pedipalp, solifugid, or other spiders. Don't ask me what these guys are. I'll probably do a video on them, but I have no idea what these monsters are. But like other spiders, they have the hairy spider as a familiar as well. Night hunters were rarely kept as familiars or aggressive pets, despite its intelligence. Now, a martial and stealthy abilities. Male Drow were competent fighters. Drow fighters often devote themselves to Loth for an easy eye by becoming blackguards or divine champions. Even though males could become divine champions, such an achievement would bring the ire of the priestesses on them, and therefore death. Drow had a fascination with stealth and subtlety, and specific training was available to their rogues. Bardic magic wasn't very common, but it was appreciated and taught in bardic colleges. Rangers were valued scouts. Due to the Drow's fascination with stealth, infamous assassin schools that doubled as assassin skills existed. Another route for rogues was to devote themselves to Loth and become divine seekers. The martial arts of the Drow. The Drow were frail like any other elf. They had a tendency to ambush their enemies with ranged weaponry and retreated when melee combat was the sole other option. They favoured light and quick weapons like rapiers and would choose hand crossbows when possible. To deliver their poisons from afar, the Drow had a number of combat styles. Now, if you think about Drizzt Do'Urden, he was a master of the Drow Elf style, because I think he's a ranger. He's a panther. I can't remember the panther's name though. But the names of those combat styles are, oh Jesus, how do I say this? Ba'utha Zin, a style based on evasion and on flanking and surrounding a single enemy, usually a monster, with superior numbers and agility, favoured by rogues and clerics of Ilestrate and Vayrun. Then you got Drow Elf, involving the use of two swords. This style could only be mastered by those with talent and luxury to enjoy formal education. It was used by Drizzt Do'Urden himself. Jivin Golhir, a style used to force enemies into humiliating positions, forced by priestesses of Loth. Cone Veldrin, a style that emphasized the use of the darkness ability. The Kai Orlin Plin, used to capture opponents alive. This style was favoured by conservative fighters and priestesses of Loth alike, but for completely different reasons. Luth Alor, a ranged combat style. Orb Alor, this style focused on striking many opponents with one strike. Its users were valued and granted special privileges. Findar Street Acre, this wasn't a style at all, but a catch-all term for mindless violence used for battle. It was used by Drow berserkers and followers of Gunodar. Sar Elg, a style that focused on making use of the Drow's natural agility and the use of one single light weapon. This was a only open style for the poor who lacked education options, but was also used by clerics of Kirin Salih, Loth and Vayrun. Urs Serene, a style about striking first and quickly reacting at the opening of a fight. Zar Thalak, a mounted combat style used by the cavalry, and Zeres Arthalak, a style that put emphasis on physical strength over accuracy, favoured by followers of Selvatar. Now, strength and weaknesses. Appearance. When I mentioned it in the last video, the Drow had a very unique appearance. Combined with their reputation, this appearance made it impossible for them to replenish their resources on the surface in effective ways. Mimicry. The whole Drow race had a natural aptitude for audible mimicry. They could rather easily mimic the sound and tone of a different person in a believable manner, especially when exposed to the language that they had to replicate. Poison. The Drow had a higher tolerance to poison for two reasons. First, they were exposed to poisons over countless generations, allowing later generations to build up resistance. Second, every Drow put some individual effort into strengthening the tolerance as part of their training. This was done by ingesting ever larger doses of Drow sleep poison and of spider venom. Becoming more and more tolerant to such substances, the Drow had a lesser resistance in descending order to the following kinds of toxins. Non-Drow sleep poisons, drugs, insect venom, and injected poisons. The Drow had no special resistance against poisons delivered by contact or to poisonous gases. Now, the Drow often also would sunbathe to increase their sunlight sensitivity, to increase their resistance to sunlight sensitivity. Now, but in general, they had weaknesses to light. For example, a common or untrained Drow could neither use nor maintain their innate abilities under the effect of light that was as bright as or brighter than sunlight. Noble Drow could use up to one innate ability in bright light. However, the Drow developed a method to defend themselves against light through the use of a Hand of Darkness spell. Before the 1360s DR, the Drow had used to gradually lose their base and mature powers, as well as their defenses against magic, if exposed to sunlight. However, during the 1360s by Drow reckoning, Lyriel Bairn, guided by Illustrae, carved a rune in the child of the Yggdrasil, with the intent of preserving her own Drow magic away from the Underdark. But the act ended up allowing all of Drow to keep their powers on the surface. Despite Illustrae guiding Lyriel, speculations were made that Loth also had a hand in the matter. It took a Drow about 10 years of exposure to get used to the sunlight and to use their infravision and normal vision simultaneously. Initial exposure to sunlight was dangerous for a Drow and cause of heavy sunburns. Even after getting used to the sunlight, Drow had a strong tendency to cover their skin and head. Besides physical effects, bright light also limited Drow activity, for they could not do anything effectively during daytime. Culture and society. Drow lived in city-states characterized by theoretical, matriarchal, and militaristic society. Purpose. The Drow society normally had two purposes, called the first and second part of the destiny of the people. The former was about forcing all other races of the Underdark into subservience, while the latter was about driving the entire elven population into extinction, so the surface elves. Loth claimed that in order to achieve such goals, the Drow needed to be forced into perpetual infighting and violent competition, so that constant training will make them stronger and smarter. However, this extreme and self-destructive degree to which this was taken prevented the Drow from achieving either of their purposes, barring possibilities for significant growth. In fact, despite their rhetoric, Loth merely enjoyed the infighting that she promoted and put no effort into reaching the supposed goal. On a personal level, each Drow tried to gain and maintain the favour of Loth, as well as amassed material goods like wealth and slaves, and to gain status inside their society in which the concept of inherent value of life did not exist. Depending on the station of a Drow, there was a difference in the kind of plans they supported and executed. Drow of higher standing supported endeavours to boost their own prestige by increasing their own powers, people, and influence. Drow of lower stations supported plans that dragged everybody down, for example, by causing strife and violence within their communities. Now, the next one is city-states, but this video has gone on for quite a while. We've basically hit 20 minutes. So I would like to thank you all for watching. Like I said, we've still got a lot to go, the Drow. This could be quite a big not big, but probably, I'll say probably about 5 parts, judging by how big this article is. I want to try and go through as much of it as possible so I can narrow it down to every little detail. So it will take a little while for each video. But basically, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you watching these videos and giving me your time to watch these. Sorry about the Assassin's Creed Identity video, but the recording cut quite short because I don't know why, but I had recorded originally for 66 minutes, but I couldn't find the other. It seems like the recording is split, and the last bit of the second part of the recording that was supposed to record didn't end up recording. So record the first 57 minutes. Basically, you didn't miss much. It was basically just finishing off that contract in the last bit of the video, and reading out the lore, which I said I will read out the lore in the next video of Assassin's Creed Identity, which will probably be in the next video I release. But I've actually found work now, so my birthday is actually coming up soon, so I'll be trying to get a PlayStation 5 by my birthday, which is about a month away. And I will be also buying a PSN. I'll also be buying a PSN month membership, and I will be trying to, and I'll be buying a game, depending on what game. I'll be buying a game I can play online with friends. It most likely will be GTA 5. Basically, these friends are some friends from my old high school. And we'll probably just get up to a bunch of shenanigans. Just a typical what a group of friends will get up to in GTA 5. Obviously, I'll be recording the very first episode. The first time I'll be playing GTA 5 will be a recording of it. So I will probably have to go through a bit of the story mode first, and then I will have to go through the tutorial of online. I played GTA 5 a little bit on the PS3. So my stepdad's PS3, and I didn't really play much of it. So I will be using. I'll probably be making a new PSN account anyway. So basically, look forward to that within a month. But I'll also be trying to move out eventually at my mum's place. So it may be a month. It may be a month or a couple of months before I have a PS5, but it will be within a few months. I will have a PS5. Due to my age, I should be able to. It shouldn't be too hard to get it. So, but like I said, it may be GTA 5, it may be another game. It depends on what game my friends want to play. There's about including me, there'll be 5 of us possibly playing. 4 or 5 of us. They're good friends of mine, and I miss them dearly. So, yeah, there'll likely be voice chat as well. I've got to get bloody headphones and everything like that I can wait. Yeah, no, actually, I probably won't, because it depends on what connections the PlayStation has. Because I've got a PC mic that might work, but I don't know. It depends on what connections. But thank you all for watching. Look forward to it, and look forward to that within the next few months. I'm actually starting my first shift tomorrow, so I'll be doing that, and I'll be going for it. So I'll love you and leave you all, and enjoy your day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you all in the next video, which will likely be an Assassin's Creed video. I've progressed a little bit in it, so we'll be redoing the levels. I've unlocked the hirelings, but I don't have any friends, so I can't exactly. Oh wait, I'll show you what I mean anyway in the next video. So see you all. For now, this video will be put up soon. See you all. Bye bye. Fireball out. See ya.